Hello, my name's Duncan Ford. I'm one of the co-authors of the Oracle Siebel Open UI Developers Handbook, and today I'd like to give an example of incorporating a third-party library into Siebel. For this, I've selected the jQuery plugin for balloon tooltips. Let's just have a quick look at how this works. So there's a demo down here. Looks like they're doing something with links. There we go. So anywhere I like, it seems that I can create a pop-up with some content. So that could be used for instructions or anything else, and it looks like we can say exactly where we'd like it to appear at the bottom, bottom left, bottom right. Lots of different ways of doing things. I should point out that I've never seen this before, never incorporated it before, so this may not go 100% smoothly, but hopefully any problems that we have will help as part of the learning experience. I can see certainly with this plugin already that one of the key ways of incorporating it will be to execute a jQuery selector. So here's the jQuery selector, followed by a method which will be provided by this plugin. So in order for our code to use this plugin, the plugin will have to be loaded. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do here is that I'm going to take my custom folder for code, which I have incorporated into the IP15 environment, and I'm going to need to add into this custom area. So this is, you can see here, we're in 23048 scripts Siebel custom. I'm going to need to get my balloon code in here somewhere. So I'm first of all going to create a directory for this code. And then we're going to download this code. I may as well download the compressed version. And we'll save this file inside the custom folder. So into the balloon directory, we're saving jQuery balloon min.js. I can close that now, and we should have that file now waiting for us. So we need to incorporate this file. One of the things that you may immediately think is that we'll need to load this into the manifest files at some point in the loading sequence of Siebel. But that's not the case. In fact, we can load this through a different mechanism, and that's why we're going to go through this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a custom PR. I'm going to focus mainly here on how to incorporate the code, but this would apply for a PM or a PR or a PW. But we're going to do it for a PR. So I'm going to go to tiny.cc, PRPM code generator. And we're going to generate a PR for a form applet, a desktop form applet, and we'll call this balloon tooltip. So I'm going to have a balloon tooltip PR. That's what I'm going to need to save the file as. So we're going to take all of this code, and I'm going to copy that into an empty notepad, and I'm going to save it in Siebel custom balloon tooltip PR.js. Okay, so at the moment this is completely empty and should take no specific action when it's instantiated, other than to create some files, some console logging for us to verify that this code is loaded. So we're going to just test that first. So this file we will indeed need to incorporate via the manifest administration. So here we are over in Siebel, and the first thing we're going to do is to create that manifest file, and then we will cause it to load through administration. Now actually, before I do this, I should make a decision about where we're going to do this, and we're going to do it down here for the account form applet. So if I do help about view, I'm going to find that this is the SIS account entry applet. So that's where I would like it to load. So let's start by going to manifest administration, and I'm just going to create, well, first of all, if I'm following best practice, I really should make sure there are no other UI objects, PRs or PMs linked to this applet, and it seems that there are not. So I'm now going to add an applet physical renderer to SIS account entry applet. Now I don't have the file yet. I'm just going to add in the expression, and I'm going to leave the expression blank, so this file will always load. I need to just give it the level as a kind of sequence number for loading, for evaluating expressions, but I'm not going to put anything else in the object expression. And in order to add the manifest file, I'll need to first of all go and create that reference. So we'll go over to manifest files, and I'm going to just cut and paste this from here to make sure that I don't type it incorrectly. So there's my balloon tooltip code. I'm now going to come back to manifest administration, and we'll select that balloon tooltip. Now, we've done the basics, we have the code in place, we've related it to the UI object. I should now be able to test this custom PM, this custom PR. So I'm going to close the application, and I'm going to relaunch it. So let's first check that our custom code is working. I'm going to have a look at the developer console, and on the console I'm hoping to see that my balloon tooltip PR has actually loaded, and this confirms that my custom code is in play. Now, in order to get access to the third-party method which has been added to jQuery through the plugin, what we're going to do is we're going to define that this physical renderer depends upon that balloon code being loaded. And we can do that within the define statement. So the define statement says, first of all, define this reference, And before you begin executing anything here, make sure that this list of dependencies has already been loaded. Now we need to do that, by the way, because here we make an extension of the physical renderer, the default base physical renderer. So the physical renderer is a parent in the object hierarchy for the balloon tooltip PR, and so in order to extend the physical renderer, we need to make sure that that code is loaded. So in the same way, I'm going to add an additional dependency here, and in order to get the link correct, I'm going to take all of this, I'm going to put that in there, and then we actually need the file name, not just the directory name. So I need the name of this file. Notice I'm not bothering taking the JS at the end of it, the .js. That's because the define statement will automatically append that .js when it attempts to resolve the dependency. So at this stage, without touching manifest files, without altering platform dependent or platform independent sections of the manifest execution, we have caused some additional code to be loaded into the Siebel framework, and now we can use it. Let's first of all just prove that the balloon code has actually loaded. So I'm going to save that, and coming back to Siebel, I'm going to refresh my code. Now it looks like I've done something a little bit wrong. No, it's okay. This is obviously somewhere else. I don't know, maybe I need to check this. No, I don't know why that's happening, but it's not related to our code. We can see that our balloon tooltip still got loaded, and there are no actual objections here. So the balloon, in order for any of these to be printed out, the balloon tooltip code must have been loaded. And because we've included it in this dependency, we should actually be able to see it right at the top in the head section of the document object model. So if I come down to the bottom here, we should see, as you can see here, jQuery custom balloon jQuery.min has resulted in localhost etc 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 jQuery balloon.min.js. So our code has been loaded. We've now got our third-party plugin available, and we can now begin to try to make it do something for us. So as an example, let's say that when the mouse has hovered over this form entry field, I'd like to have a tooltip with some instructions on it. So first of all, I'm going to need to have a look at the balloon code again. And let's go once more to the demonstration. So I just need a selector and to call out balloon with any additional options. I presume one of those options will be the default content of the balloon is the title. If it has no title, a balloon isn't created. But I can also specify contents. So I'm going to want something that looks a bit like this, and I'll be able to create any contents here, any HTML string or jQuery object Okay, well, let's have a play with this and see what happens. So while I'm just testing, I'm simply going to do inspect element here. And we're going to find that this input field has some kind of unique identifier. In this case, it's name. So if I use the jQuery selector and query where name equals that unique identifier, I should be able to get the result of that input item. So I'm going to use that together with the balloon plugin, which I know is loaded now. And we're going to supply some contents. So we supply the contents like this, and it says any jQuery object. It also says that by default it will take the title. So I don't think we have a title on this particular entry field. No, so this won't work. I'm just going to try then some string in the first instance. So we can see that the code executed, it didn't fail, and there we go. That's immediately created test. So everything's in place now, and we can begin to think about how to actually incorporate this into the code. So I'm going to make it give us some information about the account name, and you can then take further steps to incorporate this somehow with a framework for supplying instructions. So I think the sensible place for this code would be within Show UI. Within Show UI then we'd like to gain access to the name of this particular control and display it against the account name. It is a very simple example, so forgive the hard coding that will be in place here. I don't want to do it entirely hard coded though, so we will use the PM to get the controls. And what I'll do is just set for testing purposes a random object name to equal this.getPM.get controls, so that we can actually get a handle on this for working with it. So let's re-execute this code now. So object test gives me a list of objects now within the form applet at the bottom of the screen. There are a number of ways of getting in and doing this. I could have used a debugger statement as well, but here we are. So object test that gives me a list of all the controls. One of those controls is going to be account name. Really, I want to see the full list here, so I'm going to click on that. A little drop down. And name, I think, is the control I'm after. So object test name should give me the object. That gives me a control. That control I can then ask for its element identifier. So we can do get display name. Okay, that's not quite what I was after. I think I want get full name actually. Get field name, so one that I could use. Get input name. I think get input name is what we're going to use. Okay, so there's that identifier that we wanted from earlier. So I'm going to use that So first of all we're going to get access to the name control. And to turn this actually into a control, I'm going to need to embed this within a jQuery selector. And finally, I can now actually execute the balloon code in the knowledge that it will be there. It will be available before it gets to execute this code. Please complete the account name check for duplicates first. That would be a great thing if our users would do that, wouldn't it? So let's test our code. Now, something's gone wrong with the code there. It didn't expect something that I did there. And we have to figure out what it is. Well, it didn't like the name on its own. That's right, because that returned an object, and what we actually wanted to do was to do get input name. It was complaining that I can't do name equals object, and of course this just returns an object, but this is a method of the object to get the input name. So we've saved that and let's test again. The first thing that we always get is some kind of problem with the UI if we've made an error, and here we can see the error very clearly. No problems this time, the UI has established itself properly. Now it's still not perfect, is it? Because our pop-up hasn't appeared. So in order to test that, I'm going to have a look at account name account name control, unfortunately, will no longer equal anything useful. What I think might have happened here is that the bind data code may have taken this away. So show UI runs first, sets up the user interface, and then I think bind data or bind events have overridden that behavior. But we're just going to check first of all. I'm going to split this into two. We'll say that the account name control is actually equal to this, and then we'll simply act upon the account name control. And let's try that code. So account name control does point to that, and if I do balloon test, I know why, because that's not actually how we supply the content. Of course, you remember from before, we have to supply it like this for this particular control. There we go. Please complete the account name, check for duplicates first. So that wraps up this quick demonstration of incorporating a third-party jQuery plugin, or indeed any kind of plugin, into the Siebel Open UI Framework. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.